We should break up. My life is full of endless drama, and I don't think that's fair to you. Not only that, I don't share any common interests with you. I think we might be better off as friends. That's fine. I was thinking the same thing. I just wasn't sure how to say it. I had fun though. With that, he turned off his phone, got out of his bed to turn off the lights, and headed to sleep. But before that, he put his phone on the table next to him to let it charge. Hello? Meet me at the cafe right now. I need you. He had just woken up, but when he heard her trembling voice on the phone, his body and mind woke up immediately. He shot out of his bed, put on his all black clothes, and headed to a cafe he knew well. He didn't know what was going on, but she sounded scared, and that was enough reason for him to move. The streets were empty, aside from the occasional car passing by on the road, and he was heading to a 24-hour cafe him and his ex went to very often, and he was meeting up with that very same girl that had just broken up with him mere hours ago. It, it would take him about 15 minutes to walk to the cafe, but right now it was different. He was in a full sprint, not worried about his poor stamina, and in only 5 minutes he was there. He walked in, seeing her in their favorite spot in the corner of the cafe. She looked up from the booth to see him standing at the door. She stood up so quickly that she had tripped over herself, falling forwards, but she was caught before she could fall completely. With that, she began to tell him everything. I had just gotten off of work and decided to come here, but as I was walking, I heard someone behind me, and when I looked back, I saw a man in all black. He was just standing there looking down with his hood on. It creeped me out, so I started walking faster, and when I started to walk, so did he. He kept following me, so I started to run away, and when I looked back, he was also running. I just kept running until I got here, and once I got inside, I told the owner. He went to go check to see if the guy was still out there, but he was gone. Did you call the police yet? No, not yet. They tend not to take stalking seriously. Do you want me to walk you home? I think I need to go to the ER first. I think while I was running here, I twisted my foot. Okay, we'll go to the ER first, and then I'll take you home right after that. The two of them got up to leave the cafe, but before they left, he checked to see if anyone fitting the description of the stalker put was on the streets, but it was empty. Seeing no one outside, the two left the cafe. As the two headed towards the hospital that was only 15 minutes away, they felt a sense of unease. Would the stalker be around the next corner? Maybe they were behind them, hiding in plain sight, but it never happened. They had made it to the ER without incident. Once they got inside, they checked in and waited for someone to check on her. But as they sat down, he felt her grab at his arm tightly and whisper something to him. He's right there. He looked up to see someone on the opposite side of the waiting room in all black with their hood up to hide their face. He told her to sit and wait for him as he got up to confront the man. But as he got closer to the man, he shot up from his seat and started to run away. He gave chase to the man. He knew if this man got away now, he would just keep following her until he did something worse than stalking. He didn't want her to keep looking over her shoulder in fear of this person. The two of them had made it a little ways down the street from the hospital. Neither of them were that fast, but the stalker was slower than the boyfriend. This allowed the boyfriend to catch up to the man before long and tackle him to the ground. After he tackled the man to the ground, he called the police and informed them of what had happened. Once an officer got there, she placed the man into handcuffs and placed him into the cruiser. The whole time the man remained silent, saying nothing to the officer or the boyfriend. But as he was placed into the cruiser, the boyfriend saw him form a creepy smile before he was taken away. The following night, the two had planned to go on a date and rekindle their romance. The meeting place was the cafe they frequented often and where they had first met. He got ready to walk out the door of his apartment and meet up with her. As he walked down the street towards the cafe, he felt odd, but he didn't know why he felt this way. It was the same sense of unease that he had felt the night before, and this was enough to make him turn around and see someone standing there. The person stood at an unusual height of 9 feet tall, with abnormally long legs and arms, black sunken eyes that showed no hint of light in them, a fake glow from a white smile, all black clothes with a hood to hide their face. He wondered what was in front of him, but he knew all too well that this was the same stalker from yesterday. There was clearly something wrong here. He knew that if he didn't run, something was going to happen. He began to sprint with everything he had in him, but it didn't matter. The man, or maybe the creature would be more accurate, didn't take long to catch up to him and pin him to the ground. As he was pinned to the ground, he tried to fight back, but the thing had more strength than him and began to move its long arms to grab something from his clothes. It was a phone with a severely cracked screen, but what it had on it was what scared him. The screen lit up to show more things, like what was in front of him. Pitch black sunken eyes, a wide white smile, and elongated limbs appeared on the screen, but it went beyond the screen. They started to appear everywhere around him. The figures filled his surroundings one after another, with no end in sight. For a brief moment, he closed his eyes, and when he opened them, he was in a black room lying in his bed, seeing familiar objects around him. But it was then that he realized he couldn't move his body. He was paralyzed, and in that moment, he saw it. The room that he knew began to warp to show those faces with that creepy smile, beginning to fill his entire vision. He didn't want to see them, so he decided to close his eyes once more, hoping they would disappear and he would wake up somewhere else. As he closed his eyes, the faces vanished, but this caused his eyes to burn as though they had been set ablaze. The pain was unbearable, so he once more opened his eyes. With his eyes open, the pain dissipated, and his vision was clear. Nothing was there, but something was off. What was once a room filled with familiar objects was an empty, dark space. This wasn't right, though. He felt as though he couldn't see anything. His vision had begun to fade. Why was this happening to him, he wondered. In his panic, he managed to move his arm to reach towards the table that should be next to his bed, and as he fumbled around, he felt something, and that something was his phone. He hurried to bring it to where his face should be, and he clicked the button to turn it on. A flash of light filled his view, and with only his left hand, he entered the password, heading straight to his messages to find her name. Her name was the first to appear since she was the last person to text him, and without a moment's hesitation, he typed, "Are we still dating?" His eyes were glued to the phone screen. His body had gone numb once more, his heart beating rapidly, his breathing halted, waiting for her response. After what felt like an eternity to him, a text came through that would save him from this nightmare. All she texted was no. With nothing more than that, his body movement, vision, breathing, heartbeat, hearing, and reality had returned to him. With his senses back to normal, he turned on his phone's flashlight to see his room. It was then he breathed a sigh of relief, but he was still shaken up by what he had just went through. It was then that he remembered something people would always tell him. Dreams have meaning, and everything within a dream is based off of something you've seen or experienced. This means people, places, things, and even more things. He wondered, who or what was that stalker and that thing dressed in all black that he had saw? Whose face was underneath that hood? He thought it would be best not to know the answer.